Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast with me, your host, Robin Fafmi. I am here to talk about all things solar energy in particular. What is it? How it works? Is it something that's good for me? Or just what is it that I should know if I am considering going solar? It is Thursday, and we're here every Thursday, as a lot of you know, and you're starting to realize that we're here on Thursdays, 6:30 to 7:30, to talk about solar energy. And I'm so happy that you are here with me. This is becoming a very interesting opportunity, I'll just put it like that, to share and to be sure that we are helping in the community the way that we intend to, and to make sure that more and more people are becoming smarter where solar energy is concerned, so that when you are approached, you know how to respond. Again, I am Robin Fafmi. I am in the Dallas area. Um, Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex area, DeSoto, Lancaster, Glen Heights, Cedar Hill. And I have the ability to cover really all of Texas. And if it is installation work that we're doing, I can cover some other states as well. So, our main focus, though, is education. It's always about education. You know, I have been in this industry for two and a half years now. And when I first got into solar, I really thought that, I was coming into it to sell solar and to be an advocate for homeowners, and to make sure that I shared as much as possible. But really, I thought I was coming in to sell solar. That's what I wanted to do. But what I am finding now is that more than selling, the education is very important. And I am making it my mission to inform and educate as many homeowners as I possibly can, because I know you all won't be surprised at all of the things that are going on out there in the world with solar companies that are knocking on doors and saying a lot of things that may not be the absolute truth, but they say enough to hook you. And once you're hooked, then you feel obligated sometimes to sign on the dotted line. But um, I'm here to help you, the homeowner, the consumer, because it is very, very necessary. Most of you probably have heard my story, but for those of you who have not, I have solar on my home. I've had it for 3 years, and it's really been good for us in the 3 years that we've had it. However, in the beginning, about 95% of the process was really good, because my husband and I had studied, and so we were somewhat familiar with solar energy, how it works, what it is, and we had made a decision that we wanted to go solar. And in doing so, now we had to really do some research and find the company that we wanted to sign with. And during that process, we actually talked with maybe 4 or 5 or 6 different companies, and then we landed on one that, okay, we like this one and we'll do it. The problem was that we were told that there was a rebate, that Encore was given a rebate, and it wasn't guaranteed. And that was okay because we were not buying because of the rebate, but that just happened to be an added bonus. And if our project was approved, then we would get an additional amount of money in the form of a rebate. They basically told us that 30 to 90 days we would know if the project was approved. So when that time came around and we hadn't heard anything, I began to inquire. And in doing so, I got kind of roadblocks and hit with things like, well, they're a big company. We can't do anything about what they do or what they don't do. But what the real problem was, they forgot. They really forgot to circle back around and just say, okay, Robin, your project was not approved. And that would have been enough to be okay with me because it wasn't guaranteed and that was fine. But to not come back and say anything, well, I just wasn't okay with that. And since I wasn't okay with that, I did some digging and I was able to actually get to Encore and I found out about the rebate. I found out exactly when the rebate started. I found out how much money they had when it started. I found out when it ended. And what I really learned was that by the time the sales rep sat at my table, the program was already over. So I never had a chance to be approved for that particular program because it was over by the time she sat at my table. And that was a big problem for me. And from that point, you know, that experience is what pushed me out here to sell solar and to make sure that homeowners were well informed. I just knew that homeowners needed an advocate, and who better to advocate for homeowners than myself? Because I will get to the bottom of things. And not only that, I have a lot of stick to itiveness, meaning that I'm not going to let go until we are done. So that excites me. And that brings me now to the point of owning my own business, Solar Logics EDU. And what Solar Logics EDU is, we are a solar energy education company and sales organization. So that means that our priority is to educate homeowners first. And then once you're educated and all of your questions have been answered, if you now choose, and choose is the operative word, if you choose to transition your home energy use to solar, then I can also sell it to you. I partner with very reputable installers, and they're installers that are going to be here. And not only that, I'm connected with a lot of resources. So, going forward, if you have needs for anything, we can pretty much make whatever needs to happen happen. So Solar Logics EDU, as I said, is a solar energy education company and sales organization. And we are centered around making homeowners smarter so that we equalize the buying experience. And what that means is that when you sit at the table with someone who is talking about solar, who is explaining it to you, and maybe you're ready to buy, but realize that they're the ones giving you all the information and you really don't have enough knowledge about it yourself to ask a lot of questions. Yes, you are going to ask questions, and you're going to ask as many questions as you know how to ask, as you understand how to ask. But there's much more than that. So then, how do you become smart and able to qualify the company who is actually sitting at your table wanting to sell you solar, or the person who knocks on your door, talks to you about solar, and they promise you a lot of things? They promise you the tax credit. They promise you, sometimes they will promise you a year free. which means that they're going to, whatever your monthly payment is on those solar panels, they're going to give you that for 12 months. How they do it, they have various ways. Sometimes they have marketing monies, and usually they will give you that in a check up front. Yes, you can apply it to your panel payment, or you can spend the money. It's yours. You can do whatever you want to do with it. But so when they start to make all of these promises, it makes the deal sound sweet, and it makes you, or it puts you in a position to where you can say, okay, I'll go ahead and sign. But I am here to help you realize that you don't have to sign now. You just don't have to. Okay. Even if they knock on your door and you talk to them every day of the week, you're doing it to gain information. You're doing it to gain knowledge. And I suggest that you should do that. If you really somewhere in your mind are considering solar, in the future, first of all, don't be in a hurry to do it, because it's not going anywhere. It is going to become a very common phenom, meaning that everybody's going to have solar eventually. Okay. And by the time we get to that point, they're going to make more progress with the technology. The solar panels are going to be much more efficient than they are now. So you don't have to rush, even if, listen to this, even if your electricity bill is high, don't rush. Because if you rush into it trying to get rid of a $500 or $600 or $1,200 electric bill, which I know of some people who have bills that high, even if you have bills that are high, do not rush into solar, because what you will find is that, the difference that it's going to make for you may not be exactly what you thought it was going to be. So you need to learn how to examine every aspect of what solar is and what to expect before you sign that contract. And you have to also be very careful, because I am coming in contact now with people. They're just finding me. Maybe some of you who are listening to the sound of my voice, you know people who have solar, you know people who want to go solar. Maybe you know people who have problems, but somehow people are starting to find me. But most of the people that find me are people who have problems. And what do? We have to figure out how to help them if we can. And so we're in a position now where there is a way to help practically anybody and everybody. But the biggest thing that we have to do is get exposure. We got to get exposure in the community. And what that means is that I will be showing up in different places, town hall meetings, city council meetings, any place that I can speak to start to share this information publicly. That's where you will see me. But back to what I was saying, in that people are starting to find me, people have problems. And right now, I'm working with 3 homeowners. They all pretty much have the same problem, with the same company, with the same sales rep, who went into 3 different doors and told pretty much the same lie about the tax credit. What they do is they'll come in and tell you that the government has a 30% tax credit. So whatever the cost of your panel is, your system, 30% of that you're going to get back. That's what they will tell you. And they make it sound so good, as if you're going to get that money in your hand at the end of the year when it's time to pay your taxes or whatever. You're going to get this 30%. However, that is not true. Um, these people that I'm working with now, they were very adamant that yes, they wanted solar, but no, they did not want the tax credit to be used to buy down the loan. And well, I take that back. They did want to use the tax credit to buy down the loan, because whenever you get a proposal, it will show you that if you take the tax credit and apply it to your loan, then your bill will go down every month. That's what they wanted when they thought that they were actually going to get the tax credit. But what happened? They found out that nope, you're not going to get the tax credit, because that's not how it works. And if you were here last week, you heard me talk about the fact that just regular vocabulary. What is a credit? A credit is something that can be applied to something that you owe. We used a very simple example. You went to the grocery store, you bought the wrong type of coffee, you realized that, you took that coffee back. Okay, now the store does not give cash refunds. What they do is offer you a store credit. That store credit then can be used to repurchase the right coffee, or it can be used to pay for any other item in the store. It's a credit, okay? And you can use it towards anything you want to buy. Now, if that credit does not cover the full amount, no problem. It will just show you what your balance is. When you're there at the register, it will show you what your balance is. And then you can pay the remaining balance using your form of payment, which is money out of your pocket, um, a credit card or cash. That's how that tax credit works. But in most cases, people are not getting that money in their hands. And that's what I want you to really understand and to really pay attention to when you're in situations where there's a conversation about solar energy and the first thing you hear is the tax credit. Well, it's a vocabulary word related to solar. The word is credit. What does a credit mean? And so now that you understand that, you won't get tricked by that. You either want solar or you don't. And you want it because you can get it if you have good credit and your credit is approved, then you can get it. But I would rather have the higher payment up front, knowing that that's what I'm going to be locked into, as opposed to being told that, after 16 or 18 months, you have to pay that 30% down on your bill in order to maintain your current payment. Otherwise, the payment is going to go up. So that's not always good for everybody. So make sure you understand that. And again, that's why I'm here, is to educate. So please, if you can hear me, please just begin to share my name out there in the world. Robin Fafmy. She's this lady, and she educates homeowners about solar energy, and she knows a lot. And I do. She knows a lot about solar energy, and she really wants to help homeowners, the average consumer, you know, do it right, as opposed to getting in trouble. And when I say getting in trouble right now, of course, there's a fourth case that I am aware of. A lady who is 75 years old. Someone came to her house to sell solar. I don't know all of the details, but the point of it is they forged her name on the contract. And now even though she did not sign it. And now um, the finance company is after her to pay for it. And that is unfortunate, but these are the things that are happening. And what another thing that I want to stress is that, you know, we are being programmed, and I really do believe that we are being programmed to understand that solar is something that's good for us, and it is. And so eventually it's going to be such a common conversation that everybody's going to have it. And from that standpoint, once everybody's got it, it's good. But you've got how many different components when it comes to solar? Well, you've got the federal government who is giving a 30% tax credit. That's good. Then you have the solar installation companies. Anybody can open up a solar company and begin to sell it. They don't have to have anything, no particular license or anything to start a company and sell solar. So you got that. Then you have the installers. Once you have purchased, sign that contract, and you've actually purchased a system, now you're waiting for the installer to come in and install it for you. So that's the third person. The fourth person or the fourth component is the financing. Okay, so if you signed a contract, then your financing was approved. So that's four different components. And then there's you. So there's the federal government who's given a 30% tax credit, and they are actually programming us away from fossil fuel and to more green, clean, renewable energy, which also includes electric vehicles, hot water heaters, sump pumps, all kinds of things that you can get credit for because it's energy efficient. So you've got the government. Then you've got the solar companies, which will say these are the people who are selling solar, the sales reps that knock on your door. Sometimes a solar company can be a company that is not an installer, okay, but they will have to partner with an installer because, if you're just selling solar, you're not the one who's actually going to install it. So the third component is the solar installation company. Those are the people that, the crews that come out and actually put it on your home. And you've got the finance company, and then there's you. So there are five components, but you are the one component that everybody needs to make this whole thing work. But you are the one component who knows the least about how it all works and how it is working on you to get you to buy into a finance deal. And once you do that, you're done. Okay? And believe me, I am not against solar. I love solar. But I've seen so much now in the 2 years that I know that what I'm doing is very necessary. That to come forth and educate homeowners and to confront solar companies, installation companies, and even finance companies about how they are doing business, creating financial harm for you, the consumer, you, the homeowner. I mean, without you, there can be no solar industry, no residential solar energy. Okay, so because that's different from commercial. Commercial business is different. The perks and things that are available for them is totally different. Okay, listen to this. We're talking about that 30% tax credit. Did you know that in a lot of cases, to do what they call a power purchase agreement, that's where you actually are kind of leasing, not leasing, but the panels from the company, and the excuse me, and then they get to write off the tax credit. In some cases, there are some situations that power purchase agreements are good. If you don't make a lot of money and you just can't afford it, that may be an option for you. But with all of this money that's on the table, and I'm talking about the 30% tax credit now, if you don't get it, who gets it? Okay. And most of you, me, won't get it. Like I said, I have solar on my home, and I like to share with you all what's going on with me and my experience with solar. But that was another thing. When we purchased it, it was presented as though we would actually get the tax credit. At the end of the year, you fill out this form and you get it. But if you don't owe money, if you don't owe money, then you don't get anything. The tax credit is really the purpose of that tax credit is to pay down on your liability. If your liability is $2,000 and you have a tax credit for $2,000, then that will take care of what you owe. You won't have to come out of your pocket to make that payment. Okay. But if you have a tax credit for, let's say, $10,000 and you owe $2,000, then the Internal Revenue will take $2,000 from that $10,000 credit, and then you'll have $8,000 in credit left over that will roll over to the next year. So you have to owe something to be able to utilize the tax credit. So in my case, I still have not gotten the credit. Okay. Maybe 2024 I may get to use it, but I have to research this, but I think it will stay on the books for 5, maybe 10 years, but I think I've heard 5. That's something I need to check on because I may never get to use it. But when they sold it to me, that was a feature, is that I would get that 30% tax credit. And it took me a while to understand how it really works. And when you're talking to anybody who's selling solar, the big thing is to keep you confused. If you stay confused, then it's easy for them to make the money and walk away. So that's what's going to change. You are going to become smarter. We are equalizing the buying experience. So now you have some say in how you want to play this game, because everything really is a game in one way or another. So let's just understand that. And there's a lot, there's still a lot. But remember, my number is 214-497-7440. If you have questions about solar energy, and maybe you know someone who has a problem, out there, let me know. Give me a call anytime. I will always answer my phone. So don't worry about that. And if I can't help you, then I will tell you I can't help you. And if I can, then we'll figure out how. Okay? Sounds fair? Yes. Yes, yes. Let's see. So where can we go from here? As I said earlier, I am in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex area, and I'm able to service education wise. I can service anywhere because the concept of solar is across the board. It doesn't change really anywhere. Now, this is what I really do want to tell you. I mentioned that I like to keep you all updated on what is going on with me and my solar system. So here in the Dallas area, DeSoto, Texas, to be precise. Let's see, the month of December, it started to get cold in December and late December, and pretty much most of January, for at least 2 or 3 weeks within that 2 month span. It was cold around here. We were down in the low teens, and that lasted for days, more than 2 or 3, that we were below freezing. And for me and my household, we usually manage pretty well because keep in mind, the way solar works is during the daylight hours, when the sun is shining, you are producing energy just like any other power plant. You're producing the energy that you use in your house. But when the sun goes down, you pull energy from the grid, just like everybody else. And keep in mind that around that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour, between maybe 6 and 8 or 6 and 10, people are coming home from work, and they're really during those hours, there's a real load on the grid. Everybody is coming home from work. They're flipping on lights. They're in the kitchen cooking. Anything in your house that has a motor, like a refrigerator, washers, dryers, hot water heaters, these big type items. Everybody starts to use it. So now there's such a load on the grid, and you pay for what you use. Okay, so my bill for January, I've said before, I've had solar for 3 years. I've paid 5 bills. Okay. Last year in February, I paid a full bill, but it was not only, it was high. It was like $292. And that's what my bill normally was before I had solar, somewhere in that range. So because it was cold, ice, snow, set on the panels for at least a week, I wasn't producing any energy. So when you get a bill, you can't be mad at it because you already know. You already know how it works. So from that standpoint, you just cannot be upset when you already know that that's what's going to happen if you don't have any sunshine. So the month of January, I got a bill, and the bill is $399. Okay. It was shocking, but when we did the math, we can see how and why it was that much. But now understand this. I have often said that when you go solar, the key that people will tell you is that we're going to eliminate your electricity bill. But actually, what's being eliminated is your electricity kilowatt usage. Okay. So you use 3,000 kilowatts per month, you produce 3,000 kilowatts per month. If you have a one-to-one solar buyback program, then that's going to be a wash. Now, if you produced any more than that, that overproduction will go to the grid, and it will cover, usually depends on who you have your electricity contract with, but usually any overproduction will cover the other items. So when we talk about solar and lowering your electric bill, it will take care of the electricity usage, but you have other items. You have what they call a base charge, you have taxes, you have a TDU charge, and there a base delivery charge. And all of those things, depending on how much they are, they add up too. And if that TDU charge is what you really have to watch. Now, one reason my bill was as high as it was, when I started this contract back in June of 2023. Encore was charging 0.385 cent per kilowatt. Okay. But now they're charging 0.58 per kilowatt. So it went up like 2 cents. And 2 cent makes a huge difference. So whereas my uh, TDU charge, that energy delivery charge that Encore, delivers to me, that portion of the bill by itself was $157 or $177 for that month. So you have to realize that there's more to it than just, oh, I'm going solar and my electricity bill is going to be way lower. Well, that's what we want and that's what we hope happens. But, whoever is delivering your energy, like for me, it's Encore, they can raise that rate anytime with no notice. And so I have to understand that. I have to know that. So what that means is that even if I switch uh, electric companies, that doesn't really change unless Encore has different rates for different companies, but I don't believe that's the case. So even if I find a better one-to-one deal, that will help. But you've got other charges, and that's what we want to do. We want to help you understand all of that. Okay, what did we say? Solar Logics is a solar energy education company and sales organization, but the focus is on education. We want you to be as smart as the person who is sitting at your table telling you about why you should go solar. And that's the objective. Okay? So you with me? You got it? All right. So let's see. What else is there? What I want you to pay attention to now is you will have people knocking on your door or they will call you on the phone. And when they knock on your door, call you on the phone, their objective is to qualify you. What does that mean? They will ask you questions. Hey, Robin, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. You interested in going solar? Or I called to talk to you uh, about our solar plan. Are you familiar with that? And then I'll say, yeah, I know about solar. Then they'll say something like, okay, well, how much is your electricity bill? They just go right into getting information from you so that they can determine whether or not you are a good candidate or if your home is a good candidate for solar. So they'll say, how much do you pay for electricity? $150, $200 a month, or maybe you pay $300 a month. And so you just naturally will tell them whatever that is. Then they'll say, well, are you still at 7878 Concord Street? I'm looking at your house right now because they already put it in Google. They've already looked at your rooftop. They know, or they'll say something like, oh, good, you don't have any trees. You don't have anything blocking the sun from your roof. So your roof is a really, really good candidate for solar. You've got enough space and you don't have any trees or anything blocking. So they're doing their job right then, right there. You think you're just answering a spam call because it probably came in as a spam call, but you answered it. So you probably just think you're talking to someone and they're just sharing information, but no, they are actually collecting information in real time. Okay. So that's important to know. So they have everything. Then the next thing they're going to say is, well, we have someone in your area on tomorrow morning or either Saturday morning between 9 and 12. What's a good time for them to stop by and talk to you about solar? Okay. They're still hooking you and reeling you in. So what's a good time to stop by? and talk to you about solar, and you'll tell them whatever that is if you want to or not. Now, what I want you to understand, even if they make that phone call, even if you agree to an appointment time, when they get there, two different things. If you agree to an appointment time, they don't necessarily have to follow the rule of having a permit because you agreed to that. But if they're just knocking on your door and you answer the door and they start talking about solar, please stop them right now and ask to see their permit. Because I know here in Texas, most cities require that door-to-door salespeople, no matter what they're selling. The cities require them to have a permit. It's a solicitation permit. Sometimes it's called a peddler's permit. You can Google your city name and just put in, do door-to-door salesmen need a permit to walk the blocks and knock on doors to sell things? And you will find that. So if they're knocking on your door, ask to see their permit, okay? If they don't have a permit to show you and you still want to follow through with the conversation, then that's a choice that you make. That's okay. That's absolutely fine, but ask them for that. Now, whether they're knocking on your door or if you agreed to an appointment, when they get there, ask to see their ID. And before they start in with just, going further about solar, ask them about their company. Where's the company located? What's the physical address? How long has the company been in business? How many solar installations has the company done? If they are a solar salesperson, separate from the installer, then make sure you get that information. Know that. Ask for references. But here's what I don't want you to feel pressured in that, you have to let them in, you have to listen to the presentation, and you have to sign the contract that day. You do not. You do not. But if you do sign the contract that day, you make sure that they leave you with a copy of the contract. Okay? If they don't leave you with a copy of the contract, ask them for a cancellation notice. It's a form that will tell you how to cancel. Okay? If they cannot provide you with a physical notice of cancellation right then and there, ask them to go back into that contract that you signed and show you where that notice of cancellation is inside of the contract, because it has to be there. Okay? It has to be there. See that. Ask to see that. When you see that, take your phone, take a picture of it. You take a picture of it and then you print it out. And then if you go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and decide, oh, I think I made a mistake, I don't want to do this, I don't want to commit to $50,000 for solar, then you have the form. You have to sign that form on the third day after signing the contract. After signing the contract before midnight of the third day. Okay, so that's important for you to know. Okay, so be sure that they leave you with that piece of paper. But more than anything, you do not have to sign anything the first day. You may actually want to contact other companies and have them come out and do a presentation as well, which is perfectly acceptable because you're the consumer, you're the homeowner, you're the one who will be responsible for making that payment. And you need to make sure that you understand everything that you can about solar. Okay, let's see. Now, one other thing that you may hear is that there's no cost. Well, right now there is no upfront cost, no out of pocket cost. So if you qualify for the financing, you shouldn't have to pay anything else. That's how this industry is growing, because zero out of pocket, meaning you don't have to pay anything out of your pocket, but you have been qualified for the loan, and you've been approved. So they know that the money is good. And once you're approved, when you sign that contract and the solar company goes through all of their pre things, meaning they got to do a site survey, they need to come back and check your roof, they need to check your main panel box, it may need to be upgraded, it may need to be moved, a variety of different things that they do. But once they have done those things, believe me, they have already talked to the finance company, and within a few days, the finance company is going to release that money to them in full. But the finance companies, in most cases, do not require proof of work completion before they pay that money to the installer. So that's a problem. It's becoming a problem because they will pay that money out on your behalf. Then if there's a problem, there's you have to really work to make it work better for you. So that's something to consider, because keep in mind that if you were doing a home improvement project around your house or anything that was a really big ticket item, repairs or home improvement additions to your home and things like that, you don't usually pay the contractor the full amount up front. You'll pay so much now, maybe it's 3 stages. You pay so much now, you may pay something once the product has been delivered, and then you may pay whatever you owe at the end, but not the full amount. With solar, when you are approved, your credit is approved, they pay that contractor up front. Now, he can get the money and he can go, or he can install and then be gone. But the money is paid in full, pretty much upfront. And if they don't stick around to make sure that you have what they call PTO, which is permission to operate, and you've gone through all of the different stages that you need to go through to make sure that everything is good, then you've got a problem. And then that's where I come in to help work it out. So, anyway, that's a lot, and it's always a lot when you are here on Thursday nights with me, your host, Robin Fafmy, and we're talking all things solar. Uh, it's always going to be a lot of information. My goal is to make sure that we start to refine the information and distill it down in a way that it makes sense to you. But what we want you to take away always is that you've got time to make a decision about going solar. So do not give in to the pressure that salespeople will come at you with, because you don't have to make a decision today. Because let me tell you, solar is not going anywhere, and the sun is not going anywhere. That's why, it's referred to as renewable energy, because the sun is what provides that energy, and it comes up every day. It may be cloudy outside and we don't see the sun, but the sun, believe me, is still there. All righty. So we are just about at the end of the hour. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to share with you. What I want you to do for me, please, just start mentioning my name. in your community, wherever you are, Robin Fahmy, Solar Logics EDU. What she does is educates homeowners about solar energy and helps to make sure that you are smart so that the buying experience is equal. You can qualify the solar company as well as they qualify you. And if you decide that you don't want to go with them because they didn't answer a question just right, then you can do that. You have that kind of option. Start expecting to see me in the communities. Like I said, I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. I will travel. So if there's someone out there in another city or another state who wants to bring me in to talk about solar or do some solar education, we can do that as well. So thank you so much for being willing and agreeing to just share my name when anyone is considering solar. Let's just together make sure that we are smarter, because what did we say? There are 5 components. You've got the federal government. They're giving the 30% tax credit. The government is moving us towards renewable energy, away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy, and that's solar, okay? And wind and water and some other things, but solar is one of them. And in our area, solar is probably going to be the main. Then you have the salesperson who's selling solar. Then you have the installer, the person who is installing the solar, and you have the finance company. So maybe you have the salesperson, the finance company, and then the installer, and then there's you. But guess what? None of these other 4 can function without you, because you are the one who provides the money. You are the one holding the bag. Okay, so make sure that you don't get stuck holding the bag for something that you really didn't want. You are the most important component to solar doing the work that it needs to do in our communities. And I'm dedicated to making sure that you are educated when it comes to solar. So we are just about at the end of our time together, and I always, 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 I love spending the time with you. I'm becoming more excited, if that's possible, but I'm becoming more excited and more comfortable because I finally understand why I am here. Like I said in the beginning, I thought that I was coming out here to advocate for homeowners and sell solar. But what I understand now is that I am your trusted advisor when it comes to solar energy. I am your advocate when it comes to solar energy in our communities. I am your educator when it comes to that. And that's exactly what I want to be. It feels really good. I'm in my sweet spot. So if there is nothing else, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me again. And I will look for you here again next Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. You can hear us on iHeartRadio and Be Humble, Stay Humble Network. These are the places that you can look to find Solar Logics EDU. And just keep in mind that when you switch to solar, it will work if you work it. And what I want to do is teach you how to correctly interpret information about solar energy so that you can work it. All righty. We will see you next week. Thanks. Be safe. Bye-bye.